and welcome back to Ballarat for the Vic Open 2023. This is your MA1 feature card. On the card today we have Sam, Michael, Mikey and Allen, and they are going to demonstrate how to play this back nine.
After 9 holes, we have Allen leading the card at 1 over, Sam and Michael at 2 over, and Mikey at 3 over, with Tim Davis having a 2-shot lead out at 3 under after the front 9.
Hole 10 is a par 3, 104 metres. You got a couple of routes that you can use to get to this basket. You can throw a forehand or a turnover through that wide, high ceiling left-hand gap, or a low hyzer backhand out to the right, but the ceiling is pretty tight out there, and bear in mind there is OB long inside the circle, so just be aware of that if you're pushing it straight.
Mikey just a bit too high there.
Straight away testing out that ceiling.
Yeah. Allen opting for the turnover with one of his buzzers, and this is a great looking shot, shaping up to just scuttle up to outside of circle 1. Really good shot.
That's exactly what this hole called for, I feel.
Sam demonstrating that low gap very nicely. Should just skip around again to that edge of circle area.
That's a really good shot. The basket here is on a mound, so any kind of long putts into it, particularly looking at the OB, can be a little bit scary. But the whole hole does play kind of downhill, which is where that buzz from Allen makes a lot of sense.
Michael, a very similar line to Mikey there, just not quite getting that low penetrating hyzer and catching those early trees.
There is a nice little line of guardian trees about 3/4 of the way down the hole that Mikey just put his through, that kind of guard if you're quite short off the tee. Pose a little bit of a problem.
That's got a bit of a nasty kick there, back and to the left.
It's just those guardians that I was saying, just keeps you from a good upshot from far back, but that's a great upshot from much closer from Michael.
Allen just a little bit off with that birdie putt there.
A bit tentative maybe with the OB behind it. And that's a tough one to run there for Sam. Big putt here for Mikey, staring down the OB, and he's cashed it.
That's another great putt from Mikey. He's made 4 on the front 9, and that's now a 5th edge of circle putt.
A bit of a rough one there for Sam. It's not the easiest hole, this one. It feels like it should be a lot easier than it is, but it's definitely one of the tougher ones through this stretch.
Speaking of tough holes, we've got hole 11 here. 98 metre par 3, not super far, but as you'll see, this basket is tucked way around there to the left, looking for very high pushing hyzers from all of the players here, and really tight entry to that second gap.
With OB very tight, long and left of the basket as well. Now, that is a fantastic shot from Mikey, but it's still outside the circle. To get into the circle off this tee is borderline impossible. You almost need to stall your hyzer around the corner because the basket is actually behind the gap itself.
Yeah, Allen just coming up a bit short there. That is the risk with playing so close to that left side, is if you do come up short, you're just going to be cut off for your second.
That's a good shot from Sam, just putting it out in the open, give himself a pretty straightforward putter up shot. There is OB on a path out to the right, so you don't really want to turn this over too much. And this is leaking. That's leaking into that big tree. Now, if you're properly inside it, you can have a pretty easy upshot, but he's kind of caught in that middle spot, and that's tough. It just kind of slipped out of his hand there, I reckon.
Yeah, I was talking to him after that shot and just got caught in his reach back on a little twig. Very hard to stop yourself and take that moment, but
good little upshot there from Sam. Like I said, it's once you put yourself out in the open there, it's not that bad. And
that's just a really unfortunate little kick up there. Like, we saw it just hit the ground and bobble up a bit odd, and that's found that OB.
That's unfortunate for Allen. Here's Mikey's look at a very rare birdie on this hole. He's given it a great run, but just pulled it a tiny bit right, and he'll have yet another like longish C1 comebacker.
Gliese just looking to get out of those trees and manages it, but he'll have a tester.
You just struggle to punch it through hard there, and that's a very good, yet again, another comebacker there from Mikey. And here's Allen from putting from where his disc went OB, and that's a good save.
Just not quite over there for Michael. A bit short, but
it's one of those holes you've kind of just got to, unfortunately, move on from. Here's Sam for his par, and that's a nice little putt.
Hole 12 here, pretty easy 84 metre par 3. Most of the right-handers will be looking to throw the forehand out to the left and around, or you can throw a straight mid straight through the gap. Mikey, I think here, opting for that straight gap.
Throwing his rock 3. It's just a bit of a... There's a lot that can go wrong going up there, whereas you push it a little wider out to the left with the forehand. You can't really throw a turnover here because of how tight it is.
And just caught that last tree through that middle gap there for Sam.
Yeah.
Allen here showing us the power of the buzz, as that is a great looking shot.
Fantastic shot.
That's pretty much exactly how you draw up that straight gap shot. Just baby flip up and hold just long enough to get through the gap, and then you can just fade into mid-circle 1.
Yeah. And Michael demonstrating this wider forehand route. And that's really, really nice.
It's gonna
That's
get a nice
about
skip.
as good as you can play that shot, to be honest. That's perfect. I think that was his ape.
Yep, I think that was. And yeah,
No, it was his boss.
Mikey with a fairly straightforward upshot there.
Zone. Sam giving it a good run, but not quite it. Here's Allen's birdie putt after a great drive.
Putting's been really solid today. Hasn't had too many birdie putts as such, but the putts which he has had have all looked very good.
Speaking of putts looking very good, Mikey's putters have barely touched the ground. Unfortunately, his game off the tee just hasn't quite put him into spots where they've all been birdie putts. And that is a great little birdie tap in there for Michael. Great comeback after what happened on the previous hole. Hole 13, it's a par 3, 98 metres. The last kind of big wooded hole on the course. You've got probably about 90 metres of tight tunnel to navigate your way down, and then the basket's just out in the open right at the end. It's a pretty straightforward hole. That's not to say it's an easy hole. Slightly uphill.
Allen just a bit low with that FD, but I think that's going to scuttle up to edge of circle, maybe even a bit better.
You can get some great slide up the last part of this hole with all of the dead oak leaves at this time of year. Michael electing to throw that straight backhand again. He's just turned this over a little bit much, but it's all inbound space out there until you hit a path that's quite a way out of play for most people.
Mikey, just a little bit of a late release, and we'll find open space out there with a little bit of a line to thread for his par.
And that's a very good shot from Sam. Not the intended route of the hole, but if you can get through those trees on the right, you've got a lot of ways to get up to the basket.
Mikey finding a gap, and that is
a beautiful
that's
touchy
a
shot.
really good upshot.
A little baby flex with his zone and just slid up beautifully.
Sam with a similarly nice upshot. Should be a tap-in par there.
And here's Michael's bid from probably mid C2 somewhere. That was a good bid. Went through at height. Just a tiny bit right. Here's Allen's birdie putt, and again, that putt has just been on for Allen. This is good playing from Allen.
Those Wizards are looking magical.
Nice little tap in there from Michael and Sam, and now Mikey with that beautiful upshot. Tapping in his par after somewhere that you really don't want to be.
Now, hole 14, Ballarat normal hole 1, is a 74 metre par 3. You basically want a straight putter just to pierce that gap. Probably the easiest hole on this course, and really the start of this good scoring stretch.
Yeah, I would argue that the scoring stretch started a couple of holes ago, with the one that Michael and Allen birdied, but this is definitely a very gettable hole. The one mistake you do not want to do is high and early, but yeah, you'd rather miss left on this hole, I think.
Yeah, I think the tree to miss is just that left tree in the middle of those tunnel.
That's a great shot from Mikey with his DXAV RX3.
Sam just leaking out a bit to the left, but still inside of circle.
You get a very open look from most places inside the circle on this hole. You don't really want to... This upshot can be a little scary because it slopes down quite a bit behind the basket. So you could think you're parked, but it's really just got a nice slide and could be edge of circle long. Good layups for Allen and Michael. And that is a fantastic birdie from Mikey. Again, another big putt.
I feel like it's been the story of Mikey's day. Just
great birdie
as soon as
Sam as well. Sorry, real quick.
As soon as he gets to the green, Mikey is looking in command. It's just that off the tee, not quite how dialed as he'd like to be.
Yeah. Oh, he wanted the pizzazz there, did Michael, but opted to stay safe. Hole 15, regular Ballarat hole 2, 87 metres, par 3. Now, this basket is elevated, which it isn't in the regular course, and that turns what is a relatively very easy hole into a bit of a knee knocker if you get into the circle. That is a pretty good shot there from Mikey. I believe there was also an ace bounty on this hole.
There was. Unfortunately, we didn't see one from Mikey there.
I think he was going for it.
Definitely had the distance for it. Sam with another nice, smooth hyzer. I think it'll just leak out in front of the basket.
The one mistake you really can't make on this hole is going high off the tee. I can personally attest to that, because those low-hanging branches do come into play.
Allen with his buzz, looking very good there.
Nice tidy shot, but again, it's that kind of 7, 6, 8 metre range that not on a normal day you'd back yourself to make it, but in a tournament with an elevated basket, it can get quite scary.
Yeah, especially with how exposed this basket is, the wind really comes into play.
This could be quite a tough putt for Michael, but actually it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Great putt there.
Absolutely drained that one.
That is just a fantastic putt.
Little baby bit of flex out of the hand.
He knew it. He wanted that one.
Absolutely.
That is a cracker. Mikey, a little bit high on the elevated basket and a roll. That's almost his first blemish inside the circle today, to be honest.
Yeah. Sam just again a little bit short. Probably just that elevated basket adding a little bit to the putt.
Also the fear of being big putted after that cracker from Michael.
Allen's
not scared of being big putted.
He's played with Chris Ronalds too much. Mikey,
nice comeback of a Mikey again. And a tap in for Sam. Well played by the card there on the elevated basket.
Hole 16, 99 metre par 3 here. Really one main route you want to hit, which is the right hand, backhand, left hand, forehand. Basically landing around that right tree and skipping up into this slightly uphill green.
There is water on the left, which can come into play, particularly if it's quite windy. But today it's pretty nice conditions. The main thing you've got to do is pick whether you're going inside or outside of that tree. And Allen's kind of leaked a little too inside of that tree. That big purple tree out on the right.
Michael pushing it inside, looking to get a skip, and that is very good.
That's very good.
Mikey looking to follow suit.
Maybe just highs it a little early, but it's still... Oh, great shot. Probably threw a slightly faster disc there, I think. Just getting that slightly different shape.
Sam also with a great looking shot if it just gets inside, and it does.
Yeah. He's been throwing those graces a lot.
Yeah, it's really good. And just seeing that vision of how the card played this hole, all of those lines looking really good.
Mikey's from the tee looked even money that it was going to be an ace, but just not quite there.
Yeah.
Fantastic shot though. Here's Allen's putt from about 12 probably, 12 metres. Good bed, but as you can see, the wind through this section, and as I was saying, that the wind was picking up, the flag's dead again. Great putt there from Mikey. Good birdie. And a good birdie for Sam. The wind through this more open stretch is more variable, let's put it that way.
Allen finishing off with his par.
3 good birdies for the card though. Now this hole is a changed hole, changed tee pad position. Hole 17, par 3, 103 metres. There's not a ton of great lines to the basket. There's a flex forehand or a weird little right hand backhand out to the right, or a turnover, but there is a branch that hangs down on the left that blocks out the turnover a little bit.
Mikey opting for that line, just catching that tree that hangs over.
This is that low root out to the right that I was talking about from Sam, and that's a great shot, but it's hit that collection zone, that big tree that's just outside the circle.
That's a good shot.
And Allen's going out that way as well. That is a great shot.
Just his buzz snaking its way down the fairway.
But again, that big tree on the edge of the circle just being the collection zone.
Michael just got over on that one a bit too hard and yanked it out to the left.
I think he wanted that to come back a little more. Oh. That's a beard from Michael, but there is OB back there, and I think he has rolled into it, which is not where you want to be. It's not a hole that you want to push long on, or give yourself this kind of putt at. That's a great putt from Sam.
It's not an issue if you putt like that. Really nice high floaty bid there. Not really bringing the OB into play if he missed, and yeah, just caught. Very good stuff there.
Yeah, that is a very good birdie to get.
Mikey just a bit low out of the hand there.
But it did stay out of the OB.
Michael here to clean up his double bogey and makes no mistake with the putt.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate to be in the OB there, but it was a good putt. Mikey makes his putt. Nice tap in for Allen. Hole 18. This one, it's all about the water that's on the right. It is a par 4, 184 metres. You can get aggressive and go across, and a few people in the MPO field did make it into the circle for this one by going over the water, but most people will be just throwing a big hyzer through that first gap just around the second big tree that you can see in the fairway. Just to be in the fairway, give yourself a straight putter or forehand approach disc into the green.
Cool.
Sam just quite a bit inside there, and I think he's going to be cut off underneath that tree. Allen here pulling out the destroyer for the first time in the round and gets the job done beautifully.
Just puts it into that gap that I was saying before. Mikey, pretty much the same thing, throwing his Thunderbird, just pushing it straight out into that gap and getting into the open. Once you're in the open, there's not much worry about your next shot. There is OB behind the basket though. Michael, I wonder if he was going for it, but whether or not he was going for it, he pulled it very high and pushed it out into the open. It's going to be fine.
Sam here just looking to get back into the middle of the fairway, and that's a pretty nice escape there. Allen opting for a turnover putter. Not quite giving it the height, but I think it'll give him a look.
He pushed it a little too wide. I think that bush out to the right was just putting him off a little bit. Good upshot there from Sam. Little roll towards the basket. But you don't really want to be long at the basket because this green does slope away towards the OB. And what can happen is you can get a pretty bad roll into the OB, as I can say from experience. Good upshots there. Good upshot there from Mikey.
Great bid there from what was probably back of circle 2 there for Michael.
Yeah.
Allen opting for the layup on this putt, which was a very interesting conversation to have with him. He saw his mate Mark Hardy on chase card and wanted that card for second round, so...
An unfortunate putt there for Sam. Bit of a tough hole after the position he was off the tee, but tap ins for the rest of the card.
And Allen securing his place on chase card tomorrow. So that brings us to the end of the first round of MA1. The feature card bringing us some decent scores today, with Allen finishing on a tidy 1 under. Sam and Mikey both bringing it back in this back 9 to finish 1 over. And Michael finishing 4 over in total.
But some highlights from the card.
Absolutely. In general, MA1 scored pretty well today. 7 players out of 26 finishing under par, with Tim Davis leading the way with a 5 under, 2 shots clear of Gareth Morgan and Tom Lee, and followed closely by Marcus Valletta and Blake Nichols at 2 under.
Not really a ton of scoring separation on this course, but we'll see how the MA1 field does when they come back tomorrow. For round 2, we'll have the card of Tim Davis, Gareth Morgan, Tom Lee and Marcus Valletta. See you then.